I think we all have a specific, a frustrating memory that brings us here today.
Oh, absolutely.
It's that moment, right?
Uh,
That universal lament where you look across the room, or maybe you're just looking at your inbox, and you realize this painful paradox. The person you desperately want, the career goal you're chasing with this like white-knuckled intensity, it always seems to move further away, but the things or the people you're not that interested in, they are relentless.
It's the ultimate emotional riddle, isn't it? People, they instinctively blame fate or bad timing or just having terrible luck.
Right, they treat it like it's just chaos.
But what the stack of sources we analyzed for this deep dive confirms is that this pattern,
Mhm.
it's not random, it is not fate, it is very specifically a necessary consequence.
A necessary consequence. Wow.
Yeah, it's rooted in predictable human power dynamics.
Exactly. And that's why this isn't, some self-help talk. This is behavioral science. It's how it applies to success and to relationships. We're dissecting the power frameworks that explain why desire itself can act as a repellent. So if you are serious about understanding how influence works, and I mean not just in dating, but in getting wealth, honor, professional mastery, you really need to get what we're covering today.
Mhm.
This analysis is basically your shortcut to mastering these principles of power and success.
Our mission, then, is to really analyze the psychological mechanism behind this frustrating dynamic. We want to define the core principles of that relational tension and reveal exactly how mastering your internal state can unlock all your external ambitions.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start right at the beginning of the collapse. What is truly happening inside our heads when our intense desire starts pushing people away?
Okay, so it all begins with projection. It's an instantaneous, totally automatic psychological thing.
Projection.
Yeah. When you intensely desire someone or, that perfect corner office or that contract, you are, whether you know it or not, projecting a sense of deficiency onto that target.
You're basically saying you have something I lack.
You are saying, you have something I lack and I need it to feel complete.
So the act of just wanting something that much instantly creates this unstable hierarchy. I'm devaluing myself just by putting them up on a pedestal.
Precisely. That projection creates an inherent valuation difference in your own mind. They're elevated and you are, well, you're deficient. Now, this isn't some invisible thought. This internal shift immediately shows up on the outside.
Okay, how so?
Think about it. How did that feeling of deficiency translate into action? Your body language, the way you defer to them, your anxious pursuit, your intense eye contact.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It becomes infused with craving, and this is the critical part, intense anxiety about potential loss.
The dreaded neediness we always hear about. So it's not just a personality flaw. It's the visible sign of a value gap that you created.
That's it. It's an unstable energy broadcast. And here is where the dynamic just turns disastrous.
And
the recipient, the person being pursued, they immediately sense this.
they can feel it.
They feel it. They don't need to analyze your words. They feel the pressure, the anxiety, and that profound valuation difference. Their subconscious instantly registers two things.
What are they?
First, they are already hooked. And second, I need to put less effort in because the prize is already secured.
That makes the analogy from the sources almost painful to hear. You wouldn't throw more bait at a fish you've already caught.
Why would you?
Why waste the resource?
A fisherman saves his best bait and his most intense effort for the fish that's still swimming free. And that really is the crux of a loss in desire. The more earnest and desperate you become, the more it just signals a burden.
And worse, a sign of your own value going down?
Exactly. A sign of your own value depreciation. And so they run.
But hold on, if I genuinely like someone and I'm being open and honest about it, how does that become a burden? Isn't vulnerability supposed to be a good thing?
That's a crucial distinction. It's not about the vulnerability itself, but the energy behind it.
The energy, okay.
If your vulnerability is laced with that frantic anxiety of deficiency, I mean, the subtext is, I need you to confirm my worth, it stops being genuine sharing.
And it starts feeling like an obligation.
It feels like an obligation.
Yeah.
The sources note that this frantic energy makes the whole thing seem high maintenance and demanding before it even starts. So the other person concludes, pretty logically, that if you're that desperate, maybe you aren't such a high-value commodity worth fighting for.
So they're just fleeing the perceived debt that I'm trying to put on them.
Yes. The greater your attempts to secure their affection, the more you accelerate their retreat. It's a self-sabotaging feedback loop.
Fueled by my own internal lack. Wow.
It's a necessary consequence of giving away your power and your frame before the interaction even stabilizes.
Okay, so let's flip this. Let's look at section 2, the zero tension trap. We've talked about being the pursuer. What happens when we're the target of that intense, overt affection? Someone's pursuing us relentlessly, laying out all their cards on the table, saying, I'll do whatever you want.
They offer total upfront surrender. I'm yours, I'm reliable, I'm a sure thing.
Right. And at first, that's flattering.
It is.
Yeah.
But in reality, this dynamic often leads to a very rapid cooling of interest. And the root cause is the problem of perfect predictability.
But why is that? Why is the human mind so intrinsically bored by certainty? Why can't we just enjoy the safety that predictability offers? Isn't security what we crave?
We do crave security. That's a primary instinct. But if we, zoom out to the bigger picture of human existence, we have these two powerful, often contrasting instincts battling inside us.
Okay.
We feel deep tension and fear about an unknown future. That's the security craving. But at the same time, we have this existential, maybe even biological desire to expand and prove our own influence. We want to test our boundaries. We want to confirm our power.
So when someone is perfectly predictable, always there, always agreeing, always at maximum affection, it satisfies that security need instantly.
Instantly.
But it starves that second, maybe more engaging drive, the drive to prove our influence.
That's a perfect way to put it. The moment the pursuing person is all in, and you know exactly how they'll respond, they have lost all power in the dynamic. The tension, delicious uncertainty that fuels curiosity and engagement, it drops to zero. Why would your mind dedicate energy to a variable that's already been solved?
They stop being a potential partner or a challenge, and they just become a conquered entity, like a badge you put on a shelf.
Exactly. They're mentally categorized as an insurance policy, a readily available source of validation that requires zero investment of effort or curiosity.
So interest is lost because influence has been confirmed. The game is over.
It's too easy.
Yeah.
The human spirit, whether we're talking about love or business, it seeks friction, it seeks challenge, and the expansion of its own bounds. Yeah. A dynamic with zero tension just becomes background noise.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. If the core problem is desire leading to this, depreciation and predictability leading to zero tension, what is the one way to break this tragic cycle, this necessary consequence?
The material we studied is it's very unified on this point. The only way out is mastery, specifically the mastery of your desire through confident composure.
Okay, confident composure. What does that mean in practice?
It means developing a kind of hyper-awareness, a keen sense to see through the current of power and emotion and what the sources call the frame within every single interaction.
You mentioned the term frame. For listeners who might not be deep into this stuff, what exactly do you mean by frame and how do we control it?
That's a critical question. The frame is the emotional and relational context that you dictate. It's the set of rules, the expectations, the reality you project.
So if I'm desperate, my frame is, I need you.
Exactly. I need you to define me. If you approach with composure, your frame is, we are equals and I have high standards. Controlling the frame means you are setting the terms of engagement and you refuse to let the other person unilaterally define your worth or the interaction's pace.
That sounds a little bit like playing games, though. If I genuinely like someone, how do I act composed without being manipulative or dishonest? Is this just pretending not to care?
No, it's not about playing games. It's about regulating your internal broadcast. The first actionable step is rigorous behavioral control. You have to stop craving. You're not trying to pretend you don't like them. You are internalizing the truth that your internal state is complete without them. Instead of chasing, you adopt a posture that attracts the other person to approach you. You have to rigorously manage that craving energy.
Okay, manage the craving energy. But that requires the second step, right? Fixing the internal valuation. How do I genuinely flip that hierarchy in my head so I stop looking up to them?
That is the key. Self-valuation.
Right.
Crucially, do not look up to them. Do not put them on a pedestal. You have to mentally and emotionally pull them down to an equal eye level.
Equal footing.
Your communication, the entire confident energy you project, it should be one of secure composure. You're basically stating, I know you're a good person, maybe a great person, but I am also a good person and I recognize my own worth. Let's get to know each other as equals.
That changes everything. It's an assertion of self-worth that demands respect.
And this inherent confidence, this deep sense of composure, it has a magnetic effect. When the other person can't easily place you, they get curious.
They want to know the why behind your confidence.
Yes, what's the background of your certainty? They can't treat you carelessly, and importantly, they become tense.
So the tension is back, but this time you are the calm center, and their uncertainty is the fuel.
Exactly. That tension they feel, that curiosity and uncertainty about whether they can really get you, that is what instantly restores the tilted power balance. You've moved from the beggar at the gate to the prize inside.
Now, what about the other side? The people pursuing us, that source of easy pleasure. How do we use that energy without being dismissive or falling into that zero tension trap ourselves.
The guidance here is excellent. If someone genuinely likes you, you should absolutely not ignore them or treat them carelessly just because it's easy. That's arrogance, which is really just another sign of deficiency masking as power.
Okay, so what do you do?
Instead, you absorb that genuine positive attention, that validation, and you use it as fuel. Use it to increase the mass of your existence.
That's a very abstract term, mass of your existence. What does that mean in practical, observable behavior?
It means you allow that positive validation to solidify your internal worth. When you have greater internal mass, you become less reactive to negativity, you're less reliant on any single person for completion, and you're capable of walking away from bad situations with ease.
And people notice that stability.
They notice that stability and detachment.
Yeah.
You're using their attention to solidify your frame rather than relying on it to compensate for your lack.
Yeah.
I mean, the core statement holds true. Love does not come to the beggar. It stays with the one who maintains composure.
Composure equals stable power. Begging signals instability and deficiency. This whole framework feels so systematic. It has to apply beyond just romance. Section 4 makes that mandatory. Is this dynamic really universal for success?
The material's unequivocal.
Yeah.
Is this principle different from money, for honor, for success in a career? No, absolutely not. The mechanisms are identical because they're rooted in the same internal state of lack versus completeness.
So if someone is frantically chasing success because they feel a deep sense of inadequacy, they are actively pushing success away with the exact same frantic negative energy that a desperate lover pushes away a partner.
It's the same underlying contrarian nature of the human experience. What you crave desperately because of a perceived lack, it moves further away. Think of the frantic job seeker sending 50 desperate emails a day.
Right.
Compare that to the one who approaches a potential opportunity with detached confidence, making it clear they're interviewing the company just as much as the company's interviewing them.
That second approach, it just broadcasts high value and frame control. That detachment is the key.
It is. It means refusing to react to the noise, the small rejections, the obstacles, and approaching the goal with the confidence that you already have the value required.
So it's not apathy. Detachment isn't apathy.
Not at all. It means approaching the situation with the internal certainty that whether you succeed or fail in this specific instance, your self-worth remains unchanged. The goal must be an addition to your life, not a validation of it. And the research shows that only those who understand and master this fundamental contrarian nature will succeed in aligning those crossed arrows of desire in all aspects of their life.
So success, just like love, comes to the composed, not the frantic. This whole deep dive really boils down to self-mastery as the ultimate principle of power dynamics.
It is.
It's not about acting cool for other people. It's about genuinely restructuring your internal state so you don't need the external thing to complete you.
And that security only comes from consistently sensing the flow of power in every interaction. In the boardroom, on a first date, when you're checking your investment portfolio, and making sure you're using desire as an inspiration for effective, confident action, not as a signal of fundamental deficiency.
So for you, our listener, here's a final thought to consider that builds on this mastery. Take a moment to think about your current biggest ambition, a career goal, a financial milestone, a potential relationship. Where are you currently approaching that ambition from a mindset of lack? That anxious, I must have it energy. And what concrete, observable step could you take today to inject the stable, confident energy of composure instead? Start small, shift the frame, and just begin to feel that power dynamic start to flow in your direction.